I'm suing 33 countries because our home is burning.
Ich habe die Bundesregierung der Bundesrepublik Deutschland verklagt, da sie zu wenig für den Klimaschutz tut und damit die Lebensgrundlagen meiner Generation und kommender Generationen aufs Spiel setzt.
I went to court to get ultimately justice for my daughter. And ultimately, on December the 16th, 2020, she became the first person in the world to have air pollution on her death certificate. And as a family, we believe justice happened.
Ich komme von der Nordseeinsel Langeoog, wo wir natürlich auch selbst, sage ich mal, direkt an der Küste am ehesten mit betroffen sind vom Klimawandel natürlich in Deutschland. Ja, das Problem ist, dass wir natürlich vom Wasser umgeben sind, wie das nun mal auf einer Insel ist. Der Meeresspiegel steigt natürlich und da sind wir dann auch an einem Punkt, wo man sagt, okay, wer weiß, wie das in den nächsten 30 bis 50 Jahren aussieht. Allerdings ganz konkret jetzt in den nächsten Jahren ist es bei uns natürlich auch die steigende Anzahl an Sturmfluten und die immer früher im Jahr anfangen und auch immer stärker werden, nicht?
My late daughter is Ella Roberta, and she had one of the worst cases of asthma ever recorded in this country. And through my research, I found out that air pollution, as much as I might feel it affected my daughter, it affects millions. It turned out to be that night she died, the air pollution was one of the highest ever in the area. It started in October, you know, signs of a cold, a cough that sounded like whooping cough, and her first admission or her first coma or seizure was in December. And then before we blinked again, she was gone. As a mother, ultimately, you want the reason why your child has passed away.
In 2017, it was very hot. There were a lot of fires that year, and especially where I live. It's very sad to go past those places that I used to love and to see that everything is burned. And I wondered, so if now there are these fires, what's going to happen in 20 years when I probably want to have a family, when I want to make my life? Will I have the future that my parents had? Maybe I'm not going to have that future. So that scared me a lot. If there's something I can do to prevent that, I'm going to do it, even if it means that I have to put 33 countries in the court.
Ich glaube, dass die nationalen Klagen zunehmen werden. Und das ist ja auch jetzt schon beobachtbar. Es gibt Klagen in Irland, Großbritannien, in Norwegen, in Italien, in Frankreich. Also überall kann man sagen, gibt es jetzt nationale Klagen gegen die Staaten der Europäischen Union, aber auch außerhalb der Europäischen Union, im Grunde weltweit.
Politiker und Politikerinnen sind doch intelligente Menschen, nicht? Aber die werden dann vielleicht eher von anderen Interessen geleitet oder von anderen Interessensgruppen auch beeinflusst. Und da wurde ja der Klimawandel oftmals vertröstet auf die nächsten 10 Jahre, auf die nächste Legislaturperiode oder so. Und wir sind mittlerweile einfach an einem Punkt angekommen, wo man jetzt handeln muss, wo man sich jetzt drum kümmern muss, weil es sonst in ein paar Jahren eventuell schon zu spät ist.
We took the whole issue of climate change and especially the threats to all generations, but especially the young generation, to the German Constitutional Court. And we won there, and essentially the court rendered a historic judgment, really, by saying that yes, climate protection is a human right, and the government, essentially all governments that are bound by human rights, have a duty to not postpone climate action.
Da waren wirklich alle aus dem Häuschen, ne? Dass das so ein bahnbrechendes historisches Ergebnis doch zustande gekommen ist. Ne? Dass die Mühe auch nicht umsonst war, sondern dass man da wirklich was erreicht hat. Da war man auch schon so ein bisschen stolz auf das ganze Team und sich selber. Ne?
Global Legal Action Network are a group of lawyers. So we got in touch with them and they ever since have been very supportive because sixth kid wouldn't never be able to put a lawsuit to the Court of Human Rights alone.
Die Kläger in diesem Verfahren, das sind 6 portugiesische Jugendliche, haben den Europäischen Gerichtshof für Menschenrechte direkt angerufen und gesagt, es ist unzumutbar, dass wir erst in allen Staaten, und sie haben 33 Staaten verklagt, dass wir erst in allen Staaten klagen müssen. Das dauert zu lange und wir haben im Klimaschutz nicht so viel Zeit.
Every child in the UK who dies suddenly has an inquest. They sort of do the review into your child's death. This was discussed there, that it is to do with something in the air. So there were moments in court when I felt like, that is my daughter you're talking about. But I purposely took her picture into court. So her picture was there where all the expert witnesses were. And I wanted them to remember that this was a real human being that we're talking about. You know, she was a big sister, she was a daughter, she was a granddaughter, she had cousins. Ella was very much loved and she was cared about.
Being in the environmental law field always entails that you lose, often. But I believe right now the wind is blowing from behind me. The interest of stakeholders in the industry has shifted very much, not only in Germany, but also elsewhere. The investment community has a different set of eyes on carbon investments. And that's a very important change in the past 2 years. And that gives me hope as well. Because there's so much money around. If we put it where it needs to be, then...
Wenn ich mir die Geschichte unseres Landes angucke, dann waren wir schon immer ein Land der Innovationen und das sollte uns auch diesmal, denke ich, hoffentlich den Allerwertesten retten, auf gut Deutsch gesagt.
I do think people need to be accountable. And one area where they can be accountable is to do something about cleaning up the air. I thought, for all she suffered, she deserved that. And my battle right now is trying to get the government to implement them in law.
We are worried and we are trying to do everything we can, but we don't feel like we are the voice of this planet, and it's really an emergency and not just something we had to do later.